everyone. Welcome to the Performer's Guide. Get your act together 21-day personal challenge. We're on day 18, and today we're talking about time management. So by now we've been tracking our habits, we're monitoring our routines, and we have all of our goals, right? So by this video, hopefully you've done your wheel of life, you've done your SMART goals, and you have this to-do list, and also you've been tracking your habits. And so both of these areas are areas of interest for maximizing our time management, right? We both want to maximize our time management with our daily routines, right? And make sure that those are streamlined. And then also we want to make sure that we're maximizing our time management for our to-do list as well. And so in this video, we're going to just chat about time management and see how we're doing and sort of reflect back non-judgmentally over the past few weeks and see where our time management lies. So I'll say for me, I have had a little bit more struggle with my time management in this first quarter than I have in a while in the past few years, because COVID's ended, things are opening back up, more people are engaging, and I have more friends now that I live in Portland. So I'm recognizing that I'm scheduling more things that I was not scheduling in the last rounds. And I'm seeing how even scheduling this 21-day challenge, I double booked myself a bunch. Even today, I was double booked. And so it's good for me to also reflect of my time management and where I'm double booking myself, where I'm coming in late. And so we're just going to work on it together. And so when we're managing our time management, first thing is, of course, maximizing our calendars and our schedules, which we've already talked about. So if you don't have those in place, please make sure that you have your alarm set, and also that you are putting things into your calendar. I'll say for myself, everything I've been late for this week is because I didn't set an alarm. I put it into my calendar. I'm pretty good about putting things into my calendar, and I'm really good about having things scheduled into my alarms, whatever my routines are. But for me personally, my next level of me getting my act together is setting more sporadic reminders, kind of like I would do with cooking, right? Setting that 45-minute timer. For me, scheduling timers, like specifically for my calls, there's been a few times this week where I'm like, oh wow, I went completely over this call. And so utilizing a timer at the beginning of calls, making sure that I'm maximizing my time and giving only the allotted amount of time and not going over that, is a growth edge for myself and probably for you as well. So what we've got going on is another matrix. This is going to be a worksheet. And again, a matrix is any kind of quadrant style graph where we can input into left, right, up, down, quadrant style graph. And we've got two factors, which also each have their own factors, right? So we've got importance and urgency. Those are the two factors we really want to consider with our time management skills. So I'm going to break it down, but for instance, this call is important and doing it at 10 is important, but then my next door neighbor, her kitty had an emergency yesterday in which I needed to go and take care of the cat. So I wasn't able to do the video yesterday because something more urgent came up. I had something important, but something urgent came up. And so recognizing when it's time to make a shift, when it's urgent enough that you put that aside, or recognizing if it's not important or not urgent. So the quadrants are urgent, not urgent, important, not important. So it's either going to be urgent and important, urgent but not important, important but not urgent, not important. Okay? And so if it's not urgent and it's not important, don't put it on the to-do list. I feel like so often I see people who have long-term goals and they get some sort of task that pops onto it and it's not urgent, it's not important to your long-term goals, and yet somehow it makes it to the top of the list on tasks that you're going to complete. If it's neither of those things, please don't put it onto your most important tasks. So there's one way to sort of create way more time management for yourself, is noticing when things are not important and they're not urgent. Okay? So let's talk about the difference between importance and urgence. Urgency is time-based. Like, it needs to be done now. Sooner, the better. And then importance is, does it help you towards your long-term goals? Is this actually something that you need to do, that you want to do? Is this important? And then urgency is, how quickly does this need to be done? What's the time scale that I have available to complete this task? And so if something's important and it's urgent, that goes on the top of the list. Okay? So if it's urgent to file your 1099s because they're due in a week, and it's important because it's part of your business taxes, maybe that goes onto the top of the list before taking on a new project that's not important, not towards your goals. Yes? So then we have things that are important but not urgent. Those are kind of come secondary. It's very important, urgent. It's not urgent, but it's important. Those come secondary to it's important and it's urgent. And then we've got low priority but high urgency. That's where I start to reflect of like, okay, wait, this isn't very important to me, but you're putting a lot of urgency on me. Is this actually something that is important? Yes or no? Like, when the cat sitting came in, that was high urgency for me. And even though it's not towards my long-term goals, it's my friend's cat. Of course I'm going to go kitty sit for her while she's out of town. So we want to reflect of like, yes, okay, this is urgent enough for me to shift my gears, or no, it's not urgent enough for me to shift my gears on this. Because I'm gonna say a lot of times when I'm working with clients, they are very set on their goals. We go through the wheel of life. We go through the SMART goals. We make their to-do list. And then when I check in, it's like, oh, how'd it go? And it's like, oh, well, I pinballed a little bit. And I started doing all these other tasks. But then the actual long-term goals aren't making steps towards. So you want to make sure that you are making steps towards your long-term goals. And you're reflecting on what you're saying yes to and making sure, is it urgent? Is it important? Is it not? And try to put things on the bottom of the list when they come in instead of putting things just right at the top. Because oftentimes, like with impulse purchasing, let's say that if I go to a store and then I see something, it's not urgent that I buy that thing. It's not important. So I'm not going to buy it right now. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the list. But maybe it wasn't on my list. Like, for instance, today, I didn't go to the store, or I went for a walk, not with the plan of going somewhere, but I needed toilet paper. It's pretty urgent. So I went and bought some. That's okay. I can impulse buy because I know I need toilet paper, right? I didn't need to have that on the top of the list. This is going right on the top of the list. Once that's gone, it's going up to the top. It's urgent and it's important for me to have that, and therefore I can do it. But if it's, a stuffed animal, it's not important. It's not urgent. I don't need that. And so we want to think about that when we're buying costumes and props too, right? It's very easy to do both. of buying too many props and costumes just in case. And then also I see people not buying the things that they actually need because they're being frugal and they're nervous to jump in and make the leap and make the commitment. And so it's like, okay, wait, is that item important to your brand? Buy it. Is it urgent that you get it? Maybe you have a gig on Friday and you have to buy this sunflower costume that you wouldn't normally buy and it's not normally important, but you need to buy it Friday. So you got to sort of gauge, when is it important to buy things? When is it not important to buy things? When is it important to do things? When is it important not to do things? And sort of give yourself a moment to step back, a moment of reflection, so that you're not just impulse purchasing, not just impulse doing, and that you can actually allow yourself the time to do the things that you've set out to do. Because I've planned out my day, I have it planned out and I have goals and I set them out and I allow for spaciousness, but also if I allow for too much spaciousness, then I don't get the things done, and I can start to feel that halfway through the day where I start to feel behind and I'm like, okay, wait a second, I've just gotten tangled up in a whole bunch of nonsense that I didn't need to do. And then other times the nonsense is important. It's not nonsense. It's valid things that can pull you from your tasks. So really the important part is to reflect and make a decision instead of just allowing it to happen and things to happen. You kind of just float through your day and you have no plan and you have no, alarm set. You have nothing in your calendar. You sort of just wake up on a whim and go. It's going to be very difficult to manage a business in that way. And it's going to be difficult to be a performer in that way, because once you get to high level performing, you do need to stick to a rigid schedule and be able to manage your time. And you've so much in that contract that you'll need to do that you'll have even less time to do things for yourself, and therefore even need more time management skills, so that you don't just completely leave the contract and feeling like 6 months behind on your life because you had no time to progress in your business. And the same goes for having a full-time job, right? If your goal is to start to step away from having a full-time job, well, you need to be able to set aside time to build your business aside from having the job itself, which is exhausting, right? If you're working 8-10 hours, I've been there, I've done it. Even on the cruise ship, when I was on my cruise ship contracts, I spent that time writing my business model for Circus Mafia for my first business. And I just set aside time to do that. And people would be like, oh, do you want to go, jet skiing? I'm like, no, sorry, I have to go write my business plan. Oh, do you want to go down to the bar and have a drink? Nope, sorry, I'm writing my business plan. And people would always be like, wow, you're really dedicated to this. And they could tell. And then it reflected in my business because I had actually dedicated and set time aside to do it, so that when I got home from the cruise ship, I had something for myself. I had something to build from that, instead of just coming back and sort of being stuck in the same place that I was before I left the contract. Yes? So if you're struggling with time management, like I do, calendars, alarms, more alarms, turning off our notifications, identifying importance, not taking things on too soon when someone just pops in and has an idea, of taking moments of reflection for myself, and really just not taking on too many things. I think a lot of times people have a lot of goals. Even I have a lot of goals and a lot of projects I want to work on. And when I start to do too many at a time, I can see how I'm spread very thin and I'm not giving myself enough time for each project that I'm working on. And I can see that in my clients too, and just in my friends and other people. Work on one project at a time. Get it chugging along, and then bring on something else. And then when you're bringing on the second project, we're going to talk about this more in task management, of how to multitask efficiently. But, then bring on a second one, then bring on more, bring on partners and stuff. But if you start too soon and try to start all 5 of your businesses all at once and do all of the branding at once, it's possible. It's kind of what I'm doing with all my courses. But really, if you focus on one at a time, which is also what I'm doing, you'll be able to progress in all of them. So try to think, am I trying to make quick progress, or am I taking little steps towards a long-term goal? Because if you're taking little steps towards a long-term goal, we give ourselves a little bit of time, little bits at a time to do it. And if it's a project that is important and urgent, and maybe it needs 8-10 hours of your just complete focus, maybe you're doing that. Or maybe it's something that is not urgent, it's not that important, so you'll just dedicate 2 hours or 30 minutes towards it. And then once it is important and urgent, you've already done so much of the legwork up till that point that it doesn't feel like you're just completely starting from the beginning. Yes? So I hope you're having fun in the Performer's Guide Get Your Act Together 21-Day Personal Challenge. I will see you tomorrow for day 19, and we'll be talking about task management. And I look forward to seeing you then. Have a wonderful day.